What's up and welcome. This is me, you, and Switch 2. I am me, Tom Tate, and you are you. So let's talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable 10-minute episodes. Today's Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. It is 7:42 on the East Coast. Episode 65. I hope that you had a great weekend, played some games. Personally, I am playing Xenogears still. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, this is new to you. If you've listened before, you probably heard me mention this. It's a PlayStation 1 Squaresoft RPG. It's around that, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8 era. Easily in my top 10 RPGs of all time. But I'm really old now, right? And I have kids. I have a full-time job. I have hobbies. I do this podcast. I need my 7 hours of sleep. I just can't play an 80-plus hour RPG anymore. It is so difficult to slog through a long game, even if it's an incredible game. Not when my backlog is like busting at the seams and there's all these games I want to play. So all that said, I'm enjoying Xenogears, but I'm very excited to get on to a couple other games that I've been meaning to play. I'm curious what you are all playing, but this is a podcast, so it's a bit one way. It's me talking to you. So I promised myself when I started this show that I wouldn't start a Discord server, and I don't plan to, but I'm thinking of ways to engage more with all of you. The download numbers keep going up, which I'm very grateful for, so stay tuned for that. Not a lot of news over the weekend, so I figured I can afford a little bit of banter time up front. I don't often get to do that because I'm trying to keep things under 10 minutes, but let's get on with the news. The big shadow drop since we last spoke was GameCube's Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which appeared on Nintendo Switch Online if you have the expansion pack, shortly after I published Friday's episode. This game was originally released in 2005. It's a turn-based strategy RPG, much like the other Fire Emblem games. But for this series, I believe it's the first one to feature a 3D environment. This game was teased already in a Nintendo Direct when they were talking about upcoming GameCube games that were going to be added to the library. So we knew about this game. We have Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness that we still know will be coming, presumably, and Mario Sunshine, which we still know will be coming to that library. It is the third Fire Emblem game, I think, to be released in the West. Nintendo Life's PJ O'Reilly published a review that I will link to in the show notes. The conclusion of his review: look past a little dust and time-weathered rough edges, and there's a wonderful time to be had here that leads you right into an equally excellent sequel. So his pros: an excellent Fire Emblem that's aged admirably well. Battles are strategically top-notch, and enemy variations still hold up. Characters and core narrative help draw you in and keep you gripped, and it looks and plays great on Nintendo Switch Online. Some of the cons: a little easier than most Fire Emblems overall. It would be nice to have that Maniac difficulty option and not as action or option-packed as you might hope, especially if you're coming from later entries. He gave it an 8 out of 10, and I believe the sequel he's referencing here is the Wii game Radiant Dawn, which I think is another fan favorite. I haven't gone too deep into this series, but it is great to see more games release on Nintendo Switch Online. We've got some other game news. The quirky first-person shooter High on Life, this is the first one, not the sequel. It's getting a physical Switch 2 release on February 1st from Limited Run Games. It'll be $60, and it's a physical game card. People will be happy to hear this. It is not a game key card. The full game is on the cartridge. The sequel is arriving this year, but it is only rumored for Switch 2. It is not confirmed yet. I believe it showed up in a few digital shops as a pre-order item, but I don't believe that it's fully confirmed yet. I think right now it is just a PlayStation, PC, Xbox thing, but hopefully it will come to Switch 2. Resident Evil Requiem is getting a Resident Evil showcase this week, which is just a live stream. It's going to be on January 15th in 2 days, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We're supposed to get brand new gameplay and news. The most recent tease was that there's going to be a more expansive kind of open world, open city type area. I don't really know how deep that will go in terms of gameplay, but we'll see a bit, I think, during this direct showcase. We had some new releases this week and some that are coming. We have Beyblade X Evo Battle Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. That came out yesterday, January 12th for $60. We have The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon. A lot of folks are looking forward to this one. It is a $70 title, but that is releasing on January 15th. The game is the 13th installment of the Trails series. This is one of those RPGs that I was talking about at the top of the show. I just don't know if I have the time to play games like this anymore. 55 to 100 hours, according to howlongtobeat.com. But this will be a big title for RPG fans. Over Rogue, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. This is a card deck building roguelite, January 15th. Currently $15.99 in the US eShop. And then, of course, the big news, Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is arriving on January 15th. With this comes the 3.0 update, which also is coming to the Nintendo Switch 1 version. So you can play all the new 3.0 content without updating to Switch 2. But of course, if you want to update to Switch 2, you get the game chat and all different types of features. I did a whole episode following the Animal Crossing 3.0 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition Direct. So I'll link to that in the show notes if you want to go back and check that out and learn more about everything coming to this game. But I won't take up too much time here. But that's a big release this week, and I'm sure we will cover reviews and impressions on the next episode. In Nintendo news, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa gave an interview with a Japanese newspaper. I have a link if you want to read all of the bullets, but one thing I noticed is that he was asked about the price hike, potential price hike, and he was very indefinite with his response. He said, quote, and this is a translated quote, but he said, "I cannot comment on hypotheticals." I thought this was a good response. This is a very diplomatic response. You don't want to comment on this. You don't want to give any hint one way or the other. But, just note, there was no reassuring. At Nintendo, we will do everything we can to make sure Switch 2 is affordable and accessible for everyone, blah, blah, blah. There was no definitive answer in the opposite direction. None of that. So I still have a hunch, and other folks in the industry share this hunch. This is an original to me, that the Nintendo Switch 2 will have a price increase in 2026. So that being said, if you haven't bought one, if you know someone that hasn't bought one, it might be, the best time would have been Black Friday-ish, but now might be the best time if money's an issue or if you're looking to save money. So that said, I can't say that for sure, but just putting it out there. Speaking of money, next item, you have until the 30th of January to purchase Nintendo game vouchers. These are $100. You get 2 vouchers, so $50 a piece. You can use a voucher to purchase a digital title out of a list of titles on Nintendo's site. Most of these games are $60, and they rarely go on sale. So if you buy 2 $60 games, it'll save you $20. Nintendo Switch 1 games only, but some of these games have cheap or free Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades. So you can use the voucher on a Nintendo Switch 1 game and then get the Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade. Metroid is a good example of that. Zelda is a good example of that too. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. So worth looking into. You have until the end of the month. That's going to do it for today. It's Tuesday. I hope you have a fantastic week. I will also drop the link to the Fire Emblem GameCube game in the show notes if you want to check that out. As always, I want to thank you so much for your time and your attention. It means a lot. It keeps me producing the show. If I didn't have any listeners, I wouldn't do it. A kind rating or review on your podcast listening app of choice really helps me continue to grow the show through word of mouth and discoverability. Sharing with a friend, family member, Discord server, subreddit, wherever gamers hang out, that really goes even further. Really, a personal recommendation is awesome. You can go to switch2pod.com. That's switch with the number 2 pod.com for all the things, subscribe links, all that stuff. Much love. Now go play some games.